On a battlefield shrouded in gunsmoke, countless soldiers and knights wrestle amidst blood and mud. In the midst, a warrior, gleaming in gold, shatters the enemy's line with unparalleled bravery and strength. This isn't myth. This isn't fairy tale. This is Charlemagne, a king unlike any other. You might think you know great rulers, but today, you'll meet one that goes beyond any you've known before. He didn't just rule a nation. He changed the trajectory of world history. His adversaries dubbed him the Scourge of Europe, while his subjects hailed him as the King of Destiny. Charlemagne led his forces to conquer uncharted lands, vanquish seemingly invincible foes, and erect an empire grander than any that came before. But why? Why does his name still echo through the ages? What elusive force set him apart, making him so irresistibly formidable? In this video, we'll delve deep into the marvel that is Charlemagne, revealing how he evolved from a mere monarch to a legendary hero. Brace yourselves. What you're about to see might not only surpass your expectations, but might also seem almost inconceivable. Ready to unravel one of history's greatest enigmas? Join us as we journey into Charlemagne's world, experiencing his monumental life firsthand. Charlemagne, arguably one of the most influential rulers of medieval Europe, had his illustrious legacy intricately intertwined with his lineage. On April 2nd, 742, the town of Aachen in the Frankish realm welcomed a special child. Born into nobility with a lineage of honor, this child would grow to be Charlemagne, who'd command awe across Europe. His ancestral history traces back to his grandfather, Charles Martel. The name might sound theatrical, but Martel was unquestionably a master statesman and warrior. He was the mayor of the palace in the Merovingian Frankish kingdom, a position wielding immense power of the time. Then came Charlemagne's father, Pepin the Short, who decided to forge a different path. Known as Pepin the Short, he too inherited the position of mayor, but his aspirations were boundless. With the Pope's backing, he ousted the Merovingians and took the throne for himself, heralding the Carolingian dynasty. Pepin dethroned the last Merovingian king, Childeric III, becoming the realm's new sovereign. Legend has it, a young Charlemagne often overheard secret discussions between his father and the Pope. From these, he learned to harness the power of religion, not just as a faith, but as a cornerstone for empire building. Upon ascending to power, Charlemagne continued and amplified this papal alliance. This strategy fortified his empire with a robust religious backing and gave legitimacy to his conquests. Amidst this dynastic tapestry, Charlemagne's mother, Bertrada, played a pivotal role. Bertrada, a woman of wisdom and charm, carved a niche for herself in a predominantly male-driven political and cultural landscape. While many histories may overlook or downplay her role, Bertrada was instrumental in Charlemagne's upbringing and education. With Pepin engrossed in state affairs, Bertrada often stood as his confidant, aiding in both domestic and national matters. Her insights, often heeded by Pepin, instilled in a young Charlemagne the belief that women, too, could wield significant societal influence. Being Charlemagne's biological mother, their bond was profound, living together till her later years. Upon her passing, Bertrada was laid to rest beside Pepin in the Basilica of Saint-Denis, marking her paramount place in Charlemagne's heart. And then there was Gisela, Charlemagne's sister, whose life was shorter but has its own tale. She embraced a monastic life, dedicating herself to the church, ultimately finding peace within its walls. Although cloistered, Gisela's influence on Charlemagne cannot be understated. She imparted lessons of maintaining spiritual purity and resilience amidst the tugs of power. From such a lineage, we witness Charlemagne's adept balance among politics, military, and religion, ultimately forging his vast empire. Charlemagne was not just an exemplary military leader, but a ruler endowed with political foresight and religious sagacity. His life reads like an epic filled with battles, love, faith, and wisdom. And therein lies the allure of Charlemagne, a hero who propelled his family's legacy to unparalleled heights. When we think of medieval Europe, our minds often drift to the legendary warrior kings who expanded their territories with iron and blood, wielding swords and shields to define their dominion. Yet, in that illustrious roster, Charlemagne's name invariably stands out. What set him apart? Come, take a seat and dive with me into this awe-inspiring chapter of history. For many warrior kings, the conquest of lands was primarily for power and resources. Often, in their wake, local cultures would either be decimated or forced to assimilate. But Charlemagne was different. He had a heart that embraced diversity. Upon conquering new regions, he not only respected local cultures and beliefs, but also encouraged dialogue with the culture of the Carolingian Empire. This approach not only fortified his reign, but infused the empire with a vibrant tapestry of multiculturalism. Charlemagne wasn't merely a master of military strategy. He was also a beacon for culture. While other kings were engrossed in the fog of war, Charlemagne pondered how to culturally enrich his empire. This is why he championed the Carolingian Renaissance, fostering the advancement of academia, the arts, and philosophy. Imagine, while other monarchs strategized on battlefields, Charlemagne debated with scholars, philosophers, and artists in his court. He recognized that the real strength of an empire didn't just stem from military prowess, but from the cultivation and perpetuation of its culture. But was this great king infallible? Not quite. When he became emperor and staunchly supported the filioque, his relations with the Eastern Church grew tense. This highlighted another differentiation. He was willing to risk it all for his beliefs and principles, even if it threatened the unity of the empire. Now, imagine the deck of playing cards in your hands. Do the intricate designs echo shadows of Charlemagne's era? The King of Hearts, perhaps the most symbolic of cards, might transport us back to the grandeur of Charlemagne's time. Dressed regally, the card brings forth images of Charlemagne's imperial majesty. Its crown and detailed attire capture the essence of a ruler's authority and nobility. Just like Charlemagne, the mighty Frankish king and emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, whose influence spanned across Europe. He wasn't just a historic monarch, but a cultural legend, leading a genuine renaissance. Here's a question for you. After hearing the differences between Charlemagne and other warrior kings, what are your thoughts? Do you feel behind every great leader lies untold stories and choices? That's the allure of history. It's not just a remnant of the past, but a mirror, reflecting the multifaceted nature of ourselves and the world. Charlemagne inherited the legacy of his great father Pepin and vowed to lead the Frankish kingdom to a more glorious future. But before the true glory comes, he must first pass through layers of difficulties and challenges. The year 768 was a sorrowful one. Charlemagne's father, the then King Pepin of the Franks, passed away due to illness, leaving a significant portion of the Frankish land to Charlemagne and his younger brother Carloman Prémoine. Traditionally, the kingdom's land and powers were to be divided equally. On October 9th, Charlemagne was officially crowned the ruler of Neustria. His brother, Carloman Prémoine, ruled over Soissons. This split was unstable and couldn't last. Tensions and mistrust grew between the brothers. Charlemagne knew he needed a unified nation to solidify his leadership. Fate presented Charlemagne with an opportunity on December 4th, 771, when his brother Carloman passed away suddenly. Without hesitation, Charlemagne seized the land of Soissons, firmly establishing his dominant position in the Frankish realm and truly becoming the king of the Franks. But this was not enough. Carloman Wern's widow, their children, and a faction of nobles loyal to him, fearing Charlemagne's retaliation, fled the Frankish realm seeking refuge with the Lombard king Desiderius in Italy. Desiderius, with ambitions similar to Charlemagne's, saw an opportunity to further his influence in Italy, even threatening the Papal States. The Pope at the time, Hadrian I, sought external assistance against the Lombard threat. His first choice for an ally was Charlemagne. Charlemagne saw a perfect opportunity. In 773, he led his army south, quickly clashing with Desiderius's forces. After intense battles, Charlemagne achieved a decisive victory. By June 774, Charlemagne's army conquered Pavia. This victory not only brought him the fruits of triumph, but also marked the end of Lombard rule in Italy. Desiderius was captured, and his throne taken by Charlemagne. The influence left by Carloman also completely vanished. Later, Charlemagne promoted the revival of academia and culture, making his kingdom the center of scholarship and arts during the medieval period. He established a close collaboration with the Church, expanding Christianity to every corner of his empire. In his twilight years, Charlemagne looked back on his life, leaving a grand legacy and paving the way for Europe's future. Charlemagne's historical significance is undeniable. His influence persists to this day and will continue to impact future generations. This chapter of history not only displays Charlemagne's political acumen, but also showcases his military talents. He successfully unified the Franks and established a powerful empire in Europe, all rooted in his foresight and determination. Charlemagne, this illustrious Frankish ruler, had a profound impact on the destiny of Europe. Under his rule, the Frankish kingdom transformed from a relatively small Gallic region into a vast empire. The expanse of Charlemagne's dominion stretched to encompass areas of present-day France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, as well as regions of Germany, Italy, and Catalonia. Such expansion was unprecedented following the fall of the Western Roman Empire. However, Charlemagne was not just a remarkable military commander. He also placed great emphasis on domestic governance and the construction of law. Beginning in 772, he embarked on a struggle with the Saxons that spanned 33 years. After 8 significant campaigns by 805, Charlemagne had fully integrated Saxony into the Frankish Empire. Yet, the crisis of 778 posed a grave challenge for Charlemagne. That year, he was on a military expedition known as the Battle of Roncesvalles Pass, aimed at conquering the Muslim territories on the Spanish frontier. However, this expedition did not go as planned. Charlemagne's forces met setbacks at Zaragoza, and on their return journey, his rear guard was ambushed in the Roncesvalles Pass by the Basque, resulting in significant losses. This setback dealt a blow to Charlemagne's prestige, but he remained undeterred. Instead, he recognized that sole reliance on military might was insufficient to consolidate his empire. Consequently, Charlemagne shifted focus to domestic reforms, aiming for a more robust and enduring foundation for rule. He championed educational reforms, fostered academic revival, and restructured the legal and administrative systems. In 789, Charlemagne issued a milestone edict known as the Capitular. This substantial document carried profound implications. It elevated the responsibilities of the clergy to an unprecedented level, demanding their strict adherence to church doctrines and regulations. The inspiration for this decree came from the ecclesiastical code Dionysios Hadriana that Charlemagne had brought back from Italy in 774. Yet, Charlemagne went beyond mere imitation. His capitulare was more ambitious and comprehensive, embodying the unique features of the Frankish kingdom. It was a declaration deeply infused with Catholic ideals, emphasizing peace, equality, and harmony. Charlemagne's reign was not just about the expansion of the empire's geographical borders, but more importantly, about the reforms and contributions he made to the culture and political system of the Frankish Empire. He was not just a master strategist, but also a visionary and wise ruler, playing a pivotal role in shaping medieval Europe. Undoubtedly, Charlemagne was a true great emperor, and his governance and philosophy have had a profound influence on subsequent European history. In a deep night when the Pyrenees are shrouded in dark clouds, I want to take you back to 778. This year, Charlemagne made a little-known decision. He decided to lead his vast army, traversing the majestic mountain range to challenge the Muslim state of Andalusia. Can you imagine such audacity and determination? When he made this decision, many might have thought he had gone mad. After all, he faced a formidable foe in an entirely unfamiliar territory. However, like most tales of adventure, the outcome this time was unexpected. In 779, at the Roncevaux Valley, Charlemagne faced the most legendary battle of his life. His nephew, the Marquis Roland, firmly opposed peace negotiations, but his kin, Ganelon, driven by personal gain, betrayed him. The result? The brave Marquis Roland was assassinated. But this was not just a military conflict. It became a profound cultural memory for France, known to us as the Song of Roland. This epic poem is so impactful, yet it has sparked much controversy among historians. They believe the real Marquis Roland might have perished in a Basque ambush. Interestingly, even amidst constant warfare, he was also a strategist. He knew that a true empire was not just built on conquests, but also on strategic contemplation. While his father, Pepin the Short, once attempted and failed to conquer Aquitaine, Charlemagne succeeded and even brought additional territories under his reign. In that crucial year of 781, he made the momentous decision to crown his son Louis, known as the Pious, the King of Aquitaine. It wasn't merely a gesture of nepotism towards his son. It was a grand design for the future of the Frankish Empire. Charlemagne was more than just a military hero. His impact on politics, culture, and religion is a legacy that subsequent generations have cherished. His story reminds us that true greatness isn't just about conquest, but also foresight and strategy. History often proves richer than any novel, brimming with lessons waiting for us to unearth. The Frankish kingdom, led by Charlemagne, who was not just a king but also a strategist and a visionary. But don't be mistaken, his path wasn't smooth. While some say history is made of major events, at times, it's the smallest personal vendettas that spark the greatest storms. First, we must understand the Duchess of Bavaria, wife of Tassilo, a woman of unparalleled heritage. Being the daughter of the deposed Lombard king by Charlemagne, she naturally harbors strong animosity towards him. Given these circumstances, her choice to ally with the Avars against Charlemagne seemed more like a necessity than a preference. The Avars were enemies of Charlemagne at that time, and their alliance with the Duchess only intensified the existing conflict. However, Charlemagne was not one to be easily trifled with. His vast military expertise, coupled with substantial resources, ensured his swift victory in this campaign. However, what surprised many wasn't his victory, but his subsequent decision. appointing the brother of his former wife, the brother-in-law of Tassilo, as the governor of Bavaria. It seemed counterintuitive, but it might have been Charlemagne's way of solidifying his power in Bavaria and preventing future rebellions. At the same time, we can't forget the East, Constantinople, the seat of the Byzantine Empire. Though distant, they maintained a vigilant watch over the movements on the European continent. Between 787 and 788, there was indeed tension between the Franks and the Byzantine Empire. The reasons behind this were complex. Firstly, religious differences played a significant role. Charlemagne was a staunch supporter of Catholicism, while the Byzantines followed orthodoxy. Their doctrinal differences bred profound suspicions between them. Secondly, territorial disputes were also a significant concern. After the split of the Roman Empire, the territorial boundaries between the two empires often led to disputes. Furthermore, commercial interests were also a major point of contention. Controlling the trade routes of the Mediterranean and Asia was crucial for both empires. Meanwhile, the Vikings in the north began exploring and expanding. Their ventures were not just historical events, but a richly plotted novel full of dramatic twists. Looking back at this history, beyond understanding the political games of the time, we also reflect on what happens when power, family, honor, and faith intermingle. Charlemagne's tactics, the ambitions of the Byzantine Empire, the explorations of the Vikings, and the expansion of Islam. These events intertwine, painting a complex picture of 8th century Europe. In 789 AD, amid the lingering mists of unceasing warfare, Charlemagne, the powerful ruler of the Franks, once again targeted the regions east of the Elbe River. Did you know that the Slavs of that time, especially the Wilsey tribe, were a constant thorn in Charlemagne's side? However, after a series of fierce battles, Charlemagne finally forced their surrender. But why was this tribe so hostile to the Franks? It, along with the Abodrite Slavic tribe, harbored a profound animosity towards the Franks. Then, let me take you on a journey following in Charlemagne's footsteps to the distant Pannonian Plains. In that place, the powerful Avars held sway. Can you imagine? This originally distant eastern tribe, in a short span of time, came to dominate the entire Balkan region. They were not only powerful but also full of ambition. In 626 AD, their armies surged like a flood towards Constantinople, only to taste the bitterness of defeat for the first time. But this wasn't the end of the story. For Charlemagne, it presented a golden opportunity. In 790 AD, as he once again stood at the center stage of history, he immediately decided to lead the Frankish army against these once mighty foes. The powerful Frankish warriors fiercely battled on the banks of the Danube, ultimately forcing the Avars to retreat. Did you know? In 791 AD, internal strife within the Avar Empire reached a breaking point. The main contention stemmed from two influential leaders, Khan and Zogu. Their power struggle became the catalyst for the empire's internal conflict. This civil war wasn't just about political and power struggles. It also encompassed issues of ethnicity, religion, and economy. The struggle between the two leaders ultimately resulted in their deaths during the Civil War. This was a massive blow to the Avar Empire, as it meant the loss of its most influential leaders. At this moment, Toten emerged, believing that swearing allegiance to Charlemagne and converting to Catholicism was the future of the Avars. However, when Charlemagne's forces advanced between the Danube and Tisa rivers, they found that the Avars' resistance had already evaporated. The spoils Charlemagne acquired from them were presented to the Catholic Church, reflecting his faith and devotion. But the backdrop of the times is always changing. To the north, the shadow of the Vikings still lingered in Charlemagne's mind. He had to build a powerful fleet to defend against this mighty northern tribe. Fortunately, the internal conflicts among the Vikings gave Charlemagne a glimmer of hope. Dear audience, as you immerse yourself in these historical tales, ask yourself, how do you think the leaders of the time perceived such wars and conquests? Were they truly motivated just by power and land, or were there other reasons? These are questions worth pondering. Through these historical snippets, we can better understand the people of that era and the reasons behind their choices and decisions. Why, centuries later, are we still talking about Charlemagne? In our rapidly advancing digital age, why does a medieval monarch still spark so much discussion and interest? Charlemagne, also known as Charles the Great, is more than just a footnote in history books. He represents a pivotal moment in medieval Europe, with his governance and ideals serving as a template for subsequent monarchs. Firstly, he successfully united most of Western Europe, providing subsequent Europe with a shared cultural and historical backdrop. Charlemagne's empire is considered one of the inspirations for the modern European Union. Through his leadership, Europeans began to recognize the importance of cooperation and coexistence beyond racial and cultural differences. Furthermore, Charlemagne vigorously promoted education and academic research, believing that knowledge is the cornerstone of power. He established schools and encouraged scholars, leading to the so-called Carolingian Renaissance. While many medieval warlords sought conquest and expansion, Charlemagne was different. While other warlords were content with plunder, Charlemagne was more concerned about the prosperity of his land and people. Externally, he displayed his might, but internally, he portrayed a benevolent and just monarch. I encourage everyone to delve deep into the life and achievements of Charlemagne. He is not just a historical figure, but a great leader who left a profound impact. What are your views on Charlemagne? Has his story inspired you? Please share your thoughts with us and join this exhilarating discussion.